In a world where Carolina Panthers fans have an insatiable thirst for Panthers news and opinions, only one podcast roars ferociously. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
Welcome back to another edition of the Friday Free-For-All. I'm your host, Cody Lashley, back at you with my hair all wavy, dude, sitting here on another edition of the Friday Free-For-All. The show for you, by you, man. We FUBU up in this thing, dude. This is your show. You can come on, make your opinions heard. I have posted the link to join the StreamYard in the chat box. It's also in the description of the Facebook and the YouTube video. Ain't nothing to it but to do it. Let's roll. I got the boys with me. As always, you know them. You love them. Nick Montero, what's going on, dude?
What's up, Cody? What's up? All day yesterday, I thought it was Wednesday. Woke up this morning at 3:30, looked at my phone, saw it was Friday, and I'm like, oh, snap. We got the free-for-all today.
Let's
I'm
go.
looking forward to it all day, man.
Dude, I even did an impromptu stream with Tony last night, and I said that it was Wednesday, and everyone's like, oh, it's Thursday, Cody, keep it straight. I know, dude. These days kind of crushed together, but happy to have you here, man. Kenneth,
Yeah,
Panther
dude.
Pickle, what's going on, bro?
Oh, I'm just good. I tried to keep up with y'all the other night, you and Tony, but about 10:30, I said I got to go to bed. I don't know how late y'all was up talking. But
Yeah, we listened to Matt Rhule's press conference, which I'm sure we're going to talk about today.
yeah,
We listened to Scott Fitterer, and boy, oh boy, have I come to some assumptions this past week when it comes to Matt Rhule and Scott Fitterer, but we'll get into it. My brother Drew from up north, my favorite hunter. What's going on, brother?
What's going on, Cody? How you guys doing tonight? I'm glad the season's over for us. I was hoping for Matt Rhule firing, but not so much. I don't know, guys. I don't know what we do from this point.
Especially seeing some of the coaches that are available. It's like,
and hearing
come
Matt
on,
Rhule's interview.
Take it.
I said that and hearing Matt Rhule's interview.
Oh, dude, it's so bad. I said this to Tony last night. I don't know how Matt Rhule manages to piss off more and more people every time he talks, man. It's almost like a work of art at this point, dude. Man.
he really don't know when to shut up.
It's because of how much he says with how little content there is. It's, as I like to call it, it's the Donald Trump syndrome. Just, dude, shut up and stop talking.
Dude, I love it, man. And we're going to get into it because I have a hot conspiracy theory about the Panthers front office. My man Kevin Boshoven, what's going on, bro?
Not much, man. I'm fresh out of quarantine. No more COVID for me. I'm so happy.
Dude, happy you made it through it, man. Happy you made it through it. Dude, everybody's going through it, man. Everyone either knows someone that's got it or they have it themselves or is at risk of potentially having it right now. So
the worst part was quarantine. Like, I could deal with all the other shit. It's just locked up in the fucking house all day.
Yeah.
You and your 5 phone calls on Tuesday.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there at work.
I have nothing else to do.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking, dude. I'm sitting there at work. I'm like, man, Kevin must be super bored. He's calling in this many times.
Bored and drunk.
Hey, that's what we're here for, man. When you're bored, when you're drunk, when you're in quarantine, you fucking come and hang out on the C3 Panthers podcast, man. But yeah, dude, happy to have you. And then we have a newcomer. Cody, I've been noticing you in the chat room and you're joining us for the first time on the free-for-all. One, before we start, fantastic name. Your name is second to none. Love your name. But yeah, what's going on, bro?
Not much. I've been looking forward to this all week, not gonna lie. Been excited to join this, and pretty sure all us Panther fans are in the same boat here with Matt Rhule, so pretty sure we can all agree on that.
There's so much to talk about, man. It's gonna be fun. There's a ton to talk about. Yeah, man. And then last but not least, Alex. Alex, what's going on, bro? Happy to have you back, man.
What's going on? I'm doing all right. Actually, I'm in quarantine now.
Oh man, see, it's everyone, dude.
Yeah.
I'm right there with you, dude. I'm in quarantine, right there with you. So I feel you.
I lost my. I can't I can't taste anything, can't smell anything. It's
you
terrible.
got the shit COVID.
Yeah,
You got the worst kind.
I got
dude.
the worst, man. So
is that a mind trip? Like, you put stuff on your tongue? Like, I've heard people put hot sauce, like salt and vinegar, and it's like, no, nothing.
Listerine, the toothpaste, everything. I mean, just
dude.
But yeah, it's been rough. But you know what? I'm blessed that I'm doing all right. So
that's right.
That's all that matters.
That's right, man. That's right, dude. Give a thumbs up to everyone who's battling through COVID, man. I mean, for that alone, man. People on the chat, people in the chat. Yeah, man. Hope everybody gets well soon and continues to thrive, man. That's what we're here for. Friday free for all. It's your opportunity to talk about the Carolina Panthers. Boys, let's jump into it, man. I'm going to lead off with my conspiracy theory here. I think there is a major rift between Matt Rhule and Scott Fitterer, because if you notice from their subsequent press conferences, they're kind of taking these subtle pot shots at one another. You have Scott Fitterer in front of the media saying, well, the arm length thing is kind of overblown to me. There are techniques and ways to get around that. And Matt Rhule has been harping on that very thing almost all offseason. Then you have Matt Rhule doing this interview, and he basically says, hey, guys, I'm not in some ivory tower making decisions for the Carolina Panthers up on high. And that kind of lets me to believe, oh, well, if you have a problem with the Panthers passing on Justin Fields or passing on Rashawn Slater, then you should be pointing your fingers at our general manager. I kind of think there is a rift. Not all is lovey-dovey in paradise. What say y'all, man? Whoever wants to jump in on this.
I'm going to agree to that. And the more I've thought about it the last couple of days, the more I wonder if some of this, if not all of it, is Tepper's fault. Let's be bluntly honest. Mm-hmm. When Jerry Richard was in charge, owned it, you knew who was in charge. The GM was in charge of the coach, and Jerry was in charge of the GM. That's just how it was. With Tepper, you don't know who's in charge of what. All you know is you're the coach, you're the GM, and I'm the boss of everybody, but I'm going to stay out of the woodwork.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it makes you wonder quite a bit. Certain players, I'll name one. No, I wouldn't. I'm good. I forgot his name just now. Perriman, Denzel Perriman, was signed to a good contract. Yeah. All of a sudden, he had issues.
Yeah.
He had issues. We still don't really know who had issues with what. We just know he's no longer here. And then Scott traded him. So I wonder if Rhule didn't like him anyway and planned not to use him. And Scott was like, well, if you ain't going to use him, I'll trade him then. And
yeah.
But I really wonder about some of those players like that.
I do too.
That would also be the same thing for Dan Moore, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would.
And hey, how about this? A wild Tony Dunn appears. Professor, how are you, brother?
Hey guys, how you doing?
What's going on, Tony?
What's going
on?
Good to see
you.
you.
Man. So Tony, we're talking about what we mentioned last night in our live stream, talking about maybe some a rift. Not all is love in paradise between Matt Rhule and Scott Fitterer, and just getting the room here, testing the temperature, see if anyone agrees on that. But how are you, man? Thanks for joining us.
Man, I'm pretty good. My kids got COVID again. How about that?
You gotta get COVID everyone, man.
Bless
I know,
heart.
man. God,
I hate that, dude. Sorry, man.
It's all good. He's the one that doesn't talk to anybody either, so it's like natural quarantine for him.
Yeah.
Look,
my son would enjoy quarantine.
Yeah. I mean, he's just like in his room playing Roblox with his friends, like online. But I don't know. It does seem, I'm actually a little stunned that it's become apparent so quickly. To be honest, right? Isn't it a little stunning how quickly the whole narrative of the Panthers and under Matt Rhule has just completely 180'd? I mean, it didn't take long.
No.
I mean, one season. Scott Fitterer has been around for less than a year now. And we're already seeing kind of signs or signals that of the things you worry about when you hire the coach and the GM separately. And you already see it. And it's just this and it really, I'm surprised how much of the blame game and the deflection game Matt Rhule plays. stunning.
Yeah, it's not leadership material, man. We have remained consistent for many of the reasons why we slammed Teddy Bridgewater last year for throwing people under the bus, stuff that isn't leadership material. We've done the same thing to Matt Rhule, and you have to, man, when you throw people under the bus. But then yet in the same sentence manage to say, oh, well, we have coaches. We have to be better. We have to coach the guys. It's like, dude, you're contradicting yourself. He has a walking and talking contradiction at this point.
What about the Cam Newton comment? When he said that I don't think guys buy in, and he said it's from the top down, like a trickle down. Is that like him kind of saying, look, is that these guys ain't even on the same page?
It means Cam's not coming back. That's what it means.
Thank God.
Why do you think so?
I don't think he would speak that open if he was.
I told a guy at work today that because he asked me about Cam Newton and where Cam said he wasn't coming back to be no 5-12, and I said, well, could you blame him? And I thought, here's what I have to look at it. I wonder if Cam Newton would be willing to come back, but he wants to see how this team's built before he comes back. Right. If they call him up. If they call him up, let's say in June or get ready for training camp and say, you come back to play quarterback for us. He looks on the roster and he sees Cam Irving at left tackle, and he sees Brady Christensen maybe at guard, or he sees basically the same offensive line and the same thing going. Why would he come back to no good? I'm good, guys. I'm good.
Straight up, if Brady Christensen isn't playing left guard and Deonte Brown isn't playing, if Brady Christensen isn't playing left tackle and Deonte Brown isn't playing guard next season by game 2 consistently, I'm calling for Matt Rhule's head. Like, I already want Matt Rhule's head.
Yeah.
And I would give up my left nut for Brian Flores. Okay. But I'm trying to wait to see how this plays out. No. Now, I don't think that this is going to end well in the long run at all. I think Cody, you're definitely right. We should have pulled the trigger. We should have just fired Matt Rhule and been done with it.
Yeah.
There's an argument for both sides of it, but it's if we don't see those two guys playing on the offensive line at the beginning of next season or suitable replacements, I'm done with this.
And Nick, that kind of leads to the point of my question too. This rift between Fitterer and Matt Rhule, because I could easily foresee a scenario where this entire season, Fitterer has been tapping on Matt Rhule on the shoulder, saying, "Hey, we have two guys that we drafted. Maybe you should play them." But then you have Matt Rhule coming back and saying, no, I don't want to crush their confidence. I don't think they're ready yet. Oh, they need another year. They're going to be a good football player, but we have to give them time. Like, all this trash that we continue to hear from Matt Rhule, it doesn't necessarily feel the same way when you hear Fitterer talk about these
Cody,
things.
do you remember the movie Moneyball? Did you ever see it? Remember when him and the coach were going at it because he brought in players and he just refused to play them? He's like, no, they're not my players. I coach, you GM. Like,
I got.
Can I get a word in? Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry, Cody.
No. We'll go to Alex and then we'll go to Cody.
Good.
Yeah. So
go ahead.
Two things I got from that Cam Newton interview. One could possibly be like he's done. He's not going to play for a 5-12 team. Like, that's one option. The other option is this. I'm not playing for a 5-12 team. We need to make some changes, and maybe if these changes are made, we may possibly come back. But I just think there needs to be a few changes. It could mean the offensive line needs. It could mean something about Matt Rhule. Who knows? We don't know Tepper. Tepper could maybe by next week. Rhule's gone. We don't know yet. I mean, I think he's gonna stay, and I think he has a short leash next season. So if we start off the season 0-3, he might be out of here. So
and that's what I think is going to happen. I think David Tepper is a day late, dollar short to most of the things that he's done as the owner of the Carolina Panthers. So that would be about right in order with what he's done thus far. Cody, let's get you in here, man. What were you going to say?
So I was going to bring up the whole Deonte Brown and Brady Christensen. I got to like thinking about it, and I was like, maybe Scotty Fitterer drafted them, and Matt Rhule had no say so, and that's why he didn't play him. I think Scotty Fitterer saw something else in them that Matt Rhule didn't, so he didn't play him. You can see recently that them two aren't on the same page about everything. I think maybe in the draft that they were on the same page about those two. So that's what I think.
And
I don't think they could have been on the same page though, because the thing is, and I'm right there with you. We don't know. We hear Matt Rhule has final say on everything. But at the same time, if Matt Rhule has final say on everything, what's the point of having Scott Fitterer other than him being Matt Rhule's glorified assistant?
If I'm Fitterer and I know that, I don't take the job.
Same. But the thing is, when you hear Matt Rhule talk about arm length and stuff like that, you have to wonder whether or not Scott Fitterer has the same philosophy. Now, I know Scott Fitterer has come out and said, hey, they can work around it, that sort of deal. Now, my understanding, and from what I hear, that's kind of a new thing for him to come out and say. It's not like he's been saying that this entire season. You know what I mean? So it's like, is that going to be? Are you hitching onto that trailer just because it's the one that's pulled up and it's the easiest one to save your ass right now, or is that what you actually believe? Because let's face it, we don't know who to believe at this point in this organization.
Or Fitterer knows, or maybe Fitterer knows that since he was only here a year, Fitterer has more job security than Matt Rhule does. So
I would agree with that.
If he's earlier on in that process already voicing dissent about the decisions that Matt Rhule has made, and again, he hasn't come out and outright said, I disagree with them not playing Brady all year. But you kind of have to decipher and read between the lines at what's being said. And you can clearly see that there is a difference in philosophy between how these guys go about what they do. And I think what Cody said about potentially Matt Rhule kind of feeling like Fitterer just kind of gave him the draft that Fitterer decided he was going to give him, then, that does lend some credence to what Tony was saying too last night, that Fitterer was not the GM that Matt Rhule wanted, that he wasn't necessarily even on board when Fitterer was signed on. So all of these things, like when you start to say them out loud, they kind of make sense.
But see, Cody, that's why if you're Scott Fitterer, you take that job. Because Matt Rhule's going to have a way shorter leash than you are.
Right.
So when Matt Rhule finally gets fired, Fitterer gets to bring his own coach in at that point. So he's got his GM job. He brings in his own coach.
And that's how it should have been from the beginning.
On the roster.
Dude, Scott Fitterer is playing the Game of Thrones, bro. Yeah. I like that. I'm
Fitterer's playing chess while everybody else is playing checkers.
And Cody, I'm just going to say it. There's zero chance Cam comes back. I think you can't offer him enough money to be the starter, and I don't think they're having a good enough team to him wanting to come back. And I think the GM said we're trying to figure out a role for him to come back to. He's not going to want to do that.
Cam also said that he would be willing to come back and play backup role for the right situation. Yes, maybe when he said he don't want to come back for 5-12. Maybe he wasn't exactly talking to the Panthers.
My money is on him going to the Steelers. I think see Steelers him going to the Steelers.
Steelers or Browns, dude. I would love to have Cam with Mike Tomlin. Like that would be a dream for Cam Newton, dude. That would be awesome.
Their line is bad too.
All right, give us that prediction.
We're not going to use that. We're not going to take a player with the 6th pick in the draft.
Oh, we trading back?
We're not even trading back.
We free agent? We sending them off?
John Watson.
You broke up. You broke up right
at that moment.
The anticipation.
Drew, I don't know if you can hear us, man. You're still frozen.
I don't care.
Yeah, you're frozen, Drew.
It must be that moose internet up and
down.
Yeah, but hang on.
He's back now.
Say something.
We didn't hear anything, bro.
Yeah.
and then it just froze.
Yeah, literally, right as you were about to say what you were saying, it just froze and nothing came out, dude. All right, so run that back. Yeah, run that back one more time. What did you say, man?
I'm just saying we're not gonna make that pick. Matt Rhule is not gonna hitch his wagon to Sam Darnold. He's gonna package that pick with a bunch of other picks. He's gonna trade for a quarterback. Come hell or high water, he's gonna trade for a quarterback.
Who he's gonna get?
We saw how that worked out with Sam.
I'm not gonna say who we're gonna get because I don't know. I'm just gonna tell you he's gonna trade for a quarterback because his ass is on the line.
I think they're going to do everything in their power to get Deshaun Watson. I really do.
If Houston gets Brian Flores as their head coach, Deshaun Watson's not going anywhere.
I think he still leaves.
I don't think you're wrong.
To Miami because of Brian Flores.
One thing about Brian Flores.
I think he hates Houston that much, though.
One thing about Brian Flores is he reportedly was in a power struggle. And if the GM currently with the Texans is so power hungry that he's going to stay on the headset in the middle of games so he can tell the head coach what to do, Brian Flores ain't going to tolerate that.
I don't think he'll do that to Brian Flores because you remember both of them came from the Patriots.
Yeah,
I think Flores is going to Chicago.
I think
so.
There's
a guy named John McClain who writes for the Houston Chronicle. I follow a bunch of Houston people because I also write for the Texans on drafttech.com. And most writers for Houston, they believe that Deshaun's gone no matter what.
Yeah.
That if it's Brian Flores or whoever. And then I saw a report today that the Texans are trying to hire one of the linebacker coaches from New England.
Oh,
they're bringing him in for an interview at least. I don't know, but the fact of the matter is, Drew, I think you're right. I think that you even heard that in Scott Fitterer's interview because he basically said that we need to upgrade the quarterback position, and whether that be through draft or free agency. And Tony and I talked about that last night, that they are not comfortable with either Cam Newton or Sam Darnold. And if they want to save their job,
I think Brian Burns is a part of that deal.
But
I heard something today. I heard something today, if I may. I heard something today I did not know. Kyle Bailey was on the radio, and he said that the 49ers and Washington were heavily involved in trying to trade for Sam Darnold. We just upped the ante and pulled it out before they could. And he was wondering if we wouldn't actually try to work a trade for Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, I thought that too, but at the same time, he is, no matter what we don't like, he would be an upgrade over Sam Darnold.
I'd rather keep Sam.
I'm pretty sure that Cody without his wheelchair.
Yeah, honestly, I'd rather keep him too.
Yeah, dude. Like my thing is like Garoppolo. Okay, to be honest, I compared Teddy Bridgewater to Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah,
is that they don't have huge arms. And they're going to be a check down master. They'll do their best to take care of the football, which, yes, admittedly is very important to not turn the football over. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that it's the worst move. I kind of feel the same way about Garoppolo that I would about Kirk Cousins. Maybe one's a little bit better than the other, but none of them say to me, oh, I can depend on you when I need my franchise quarterback to lead us to victory. I don't get that from either of those.
Cody, you said the key word right there. What David Tepper has always says, he wants a franchise quarterback. He wants a box office quarterback, and
who are you going to trade though?
Get that is trading his assets to get one.
Who's worth a first round pick though?
Well, it's going to have to be more than a first round pick.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm talking about the 6th round pick, next year's first, maybe the year after that, and Brian Burns. Brian Burns will be a part of any deal for a quarterback. He's gone.
I don't think you have to give that much for Watson.
I don't care to trade Brian Burns, but I think if we there is a cap issue that we would have to address before we trade in quarterback. Beyond that issue, if you go to do that method, you cannot re-sign any of your current players. This just you just ain't going to have it. Also,
Christian, unless Christian McCaffrey is a part of that trade, and you're getting some of that money off the book.
But you're also taking a big hit with McCaffrey.
Yeah,
you're actually taking more. You're actually going to take more of a hit than you are savings, even for the next few years.
But remember what Scott Fitterer said in his interview? He said they can do some maneuvering around with the cap.
Yeah, you always
can spread some money out, sign players to extensions.
Right. But he also said we had to get bigger on the defensive side of the ball, which tells me, as he was making his interview, there is zero chance they're going to go after Riddick. Rod Riddick's a good sack specialist. He offers you very little in run support. And you don't want to pay a guy top dollar just to put on his butt, because even later in the games, you proved it. Yeah. Fine, put him out there. That works for us. We're just going to run straight at him.
Brian Burns is a little Brian Burns is gone too.
So hold on, Cody. I saw you make a face to that. What were you thinking?
I was making a lot of faces to a lot of that, but I don't know. I'm not sure. I forget which part I was making the face at.
Well, I'm saying, like, do we all think that so that is something that I have noticed as well. If you listen to Scott Fitterer, this is now the second or third time he has mentioned that we're not big enough and physical enough on the edges. And this is something that we've been saying since the middle of the year this year. We've been talking about not being physical enough and setting a physical edge. And I think that our front office knows this as well. So, I mean, maybe you might be able to get more physical if you trade away Brian Burns, but, you're also missing out on the sack production, which we also haven't been super impressed with, so to speak. So, I don't know, man. There's a lot of different options.
But you also have to look at, you're going to have to look at paying Brian Burns soon too. So if you're not going to pay him, that's what we said about was it Jackson DJ? We said if we're not going to pay him, we should trade him for assets.
Yeah, I'd rather trade trade those players, get picks, and get Kenny Pickett with another first rounder.
Yep, go ahead, Nick.
I don't disagree with necessarily trading away players, but the thing is, so with this being Hassan Reddick's only year on his contract, you get rid of Brian Burns and you let Hassan walk, you are looking to replace those two positions. Yeah, so you can't trade Brian Burns and let Hassan walk realistically and still expect to have somewhat of a
Well, you got to remember, Yetur Gross-Matos can start. That guy can start.
He can, but what I'm getting at is you can't lose both.
While I think his future is very bright, he's 266. He's actually a little bigger. He's bigger than both of them. So feed him a couple cheeseburgers, he's gonna be up to 270 anyway.
And you know what, Kenneth? He's another guy that doesn't really get. So we talk about Brady Christensen and Deonte Brown a lot. He's another guy that I feel hasn't necessarily been given enough of a chance. And I understand you have Hassan Reddick, you have Brian Burns, but they even started Morgan Fox over him.
That's a good point, Cody.
I don't believe
Morgan Fox played pretty good.
And I'm not even
on one side and Yetur Gross-Matos on the other.
That's what I'm saying. Now all of a sudden you have much more physical edges, and I mean, listen, you already have Brian Burns in the middle, but we might as well just have a stout ass defense and let our back seven play fast and flow to the football.
I don't want to be disrespectful, but I'm not really satisfied with how Phil Snow's done the defense.
That's not disrespectful.
I believe that we have talent that actually doesn't play a lot, and Phil Snow's stuck in a this way mode. And I think it hurts our defense quite a bit when we're trying to play different facets. In one play will be a 3-3-5, and the next play will be a base 3-4, and the next play we're 3-4-5. I mean, there's so many different packages. These young kids are trying to learn multiple things multiple times, and in one gap, for example, one play, Riddick may be on the line. The next play, he's going to be in the back. The next play, he's going to be over here. That's so confusing of a defense.
He's trying to do too much. They're trying to do too much.
He needs to base it down and stop I mean, stop trying to do too much. And not only that, he doesn't really. If he's going to play a 3-4, okay, go get the guys to play 3-4. Stop playing with it. Go get the guys to play 3-4. And he doesn't have that. I mean, even times last year we lined up in a 3-4. You know who our ends was? Our ends was Gross Matos, who's 266, and Fox, who's 260. I mean, that's not a 3-4.
Right.
We can always trade.
Yeah, go ahead.
We can always trade DJ Moore and Brian Burns, get 2 first-round picks out of those guys, get a quarterback, get a tackle, and get an edge rusher.
So I feel like we know the players. So, okay, well, actually, let me disagree with that, though. Because if Kevin is right that we're trying to grab either Aaron Rodgers or Deshaun or Russell Wilson, we're going to want to have some exterior weapons. And I do believe Scott
I don't think
Fitterer,
we're grabbing those.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, if you, with all honesty, think about this. If you're Aaron Rodgers or Deshaun Watson or any of the top-level quarterbacks that people want to come here or that's in thought that Tepper may want to get here, if they find out that part of the plan is to trade DJ Moore and Christian McCaffrey, why would he want to come here?
I think
why was he want to
exactly. I don't think he can get away with trading DJ Moore.
No.
You can't.
You're going to pay DJ
really,
to play for a team with no offense?
To me, you can't trade. I mean, you can't trade guys and try to sell on no O-line and trade some of your key assets on the offensive side. There's just no way. Like, I could see us drafting a guy like Neal, moving Christensen over at guard, and you still got Moton, Deonte Brown. I mean, that's pretty formidable. And then all you got to do is maybe make a couple free agent, like maybe a free agent guard. Or, I mean, I'm not a big Paradis guy, but if they bring back Paradis, I mean, I don't know.
I hope they do. We're paying him $8 million anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, but if you do that, what do we do as far as quarterback?
We're rebuilding.
Yeah, I mean, quarterback, I think it's just this year is a bridge year to me.
I know people hate these ideas, but I know they do. I still believe, and I have for weeks, I still believe they're going to go out and get what we want to call a mediocre quarterback. They can't afford a high free agent. No matter what Tepper wants, we can't afford that.
Then
we can't afford it in
well,
any
what
way.
free agent? Look, at the end of the day, I don't even know if there are any true free agents that are worth pursuing, right? I mean,
right.
You know, and so then it would have to be a trade if you want to answer the quarterback. You could try something like, I know Cody's gonna get mad at me, but you could like try to go after Gardner Minshew.
Here we go, Gardner Minshew.
I mean, I'll read a few. I'll read a few out there, but I don't think anybody's going to be impressed. Tyrod Taylor's going to be there. The Saints ain't going to let Jimmy Winston go unless they're planning to go after Bridgewater. Marcus Mariota and Mitch Trubisky probably lead the whole list. They're not
didn't you see? Did you see?
Unless you want to calculate Teddy Bridgewater into that.
Did you see Rhule hug Mitch Trubisky after we played them, the Bills?
No.
God, I was like, please don't. I was like, there's his next quarterback.
All those names that you just mentioned, that's like quarterback hell.
I mean, you got Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, you might as well just stick with Sam Darnold.
That's what I'm saying.
Now, Kirk Cousins is not really free agent, but he probably will be. Yeah,
dude, we're gonna draft a quarterback.
So, Cody, I actually happen to look up the accounts for Yotur.
You know what?
Yeah.
Dude, he straight up played anywhere between 20 and 40% of the snaps the entire season.
Oh,
except for the last two games. The last two games, he jumped up to 63% versus the... Oh, actually, this isn't 100% right, but either way, when you look at the snap counts, it's anywhere between 20% and like 40%. The entire season.
Was that Morgan Fox you're talking about?
No, Gross Matos.
I can look up Morgan Fox though.
Oh yeah, okay.
And
Matos was like hurt most of the year, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. So I mean,
if we get into the realm of trading players, we really have to be careful that we don't eliminate one position to satisfy another position and find us all right back in the same boat we was in.
But there's no point of signing him to a huge deal if the team is just garbage. You're putting shiny rims on a dumpster fire car.
You're right. You're right. I agree with the commentary, but it is what it is. And I mean, now granted, at the beginning, at this time last year, who thought Matthew Stafford would demand out and be on the block?
Well, there was some murmurs. I mean, honestly, it's similar to Russell Wilson right now. There's a lot of murmurs. There was a lot of rumors that he might be on the move at a certain point. But listen, it goes back to what Drew said for me. Like, dude, I just don't see a scenario. Matt Rhule is aware that people hate him, okay? He's talking about his poor children going to Hornets games and they're getting booed at and shit like that. He knows that he does not have a lot of fans right now. So that's why I agree with Drew. Like, if he's going into this final season, the quarterback and the offensive coordinator, that's literally his ass. If he doesn't hit on those two, then he knows that he's out the door. And I think that David Tepper is so thirsty for a franchise quarterback. He's going to be like, yep, make it happen. Whatever. I'm done with this. I'm done with the Bridgewater. I'm done with the Darnold. I'm done with the passes prime Cam Newton. I want a franchise quarterback because he wants to put butts in seats. And I think that rush to fulfill those needs might put us in a bad situation potentially.
Well, there's only three. There's only three that are going to be like moving or potentially moving, right? I mean, look, Aaron Rodgers is about to go win a damn Super Bowl with the Green Bay Packers. True. He might just stay in Green Bay. You know what I mean? He might have just been doing all of this just to get exactly where he is right now. Like, why would he go to Denver? I guess unless he's just trying to prove that he's like as good as Tom Brady and he can go to another team and do it without everybody else. I don't know. But it would just be him, Russell Wilson, and Deshaun Watson. And then, like, the idea is, like, do you believe Russell Wilson wants to move or wants to live in Charlotte?
Nope. I don't think he's moving to Seattle at this point.
Hey, how about this? I don't believe Sierra wants to live in Charlotte.
I mean, it's closer to Atlanta than Seattle.
Like, you know what? I'm surprised they just gonna buy a house there to live there for like 3 days a week or something. But
she is from Atlanta. Like, it's closer than Seattle.
Ooh. I'm surprised Seattle's coach hasn't retired yet.
Yeah,
I expect him to.
I thought he was going to the USC job.
Matt Rhule can have the USC.
Yeah, honestly, guys, I really believe that they're gonna. Go ahead, Tony.
I want to get y'all's temperature after. All right, so we've been upset with Matt Rhule for the last whatever months, right? I mean, it's like the popularity opinion. His poll numbers have gone down week after week after week. How do you guys feel? And there's a lot of speculation about like why it's so bad. Are we over panicking? After hearing him speak on Monday in the press conference and then on the radio just yesterday, how has your opinion changed?
It's
like, what is that? Like, I feel like I said this last night, is I didn't know that I could think less of him than I did on Sunday.
Yeah.
And then Monday's press conference happened, and then they pulled the curtain back in this interview, and I was like, gosh, it is worse than I even thought.
Yeah, I mean, I kept thinking, pull it back.
Yeah. I went into this season. I went into this season and I was okay with Matt Rhule. Like, I didn't. Yes, there was issues.
Me too.
You know, as the year went on, more issues started to pop up, and I started to question things. But even at the start of the season, I was okay with Matt Rhule. And then once we got to, for me, it was the New England game. Like, that's when everything just fell apart. Like, I knew that there was problems going into the New England game, but that pick six and seeing that happen right in front of my face, it's like, I just wanted to be competitive. I knew we were going to lose. I just wanted to be competitive, and we obviously weren't that. So that's when it started to really go downhill. But then with the whole Cam thing, that was like, all right, now it's time for you to go. And then the radio thing, I just, that was bad. That was terrible. I don't think I've ever heard anything worse coming out of someone in his position.
I miss the days of John Fox saying it is what it is. Just give me that again.
Hey, real quick. Biblical Christological, are you there?
Biblically, this is Biblical Christological Account, FTW, YouTube. Here to tell you all that neither of thou can destroy.
Later, bro. We ain't in church right now. Sorry, dude.
Bring him back.
Hey,
we needed some religious.
Yeah.
We needed some prayer. Bring him back.
Hey, man.
Yeah, we wanted to pray for this 2022
Can you say Matt
season.
Rhule's last rites as a
Yeah.
Pray for the Panthers, bro. God bless you, brother.
What was more traumatizing? What was more traumatizing? Biblical Christological giving you that prayer sermon, or some dude pulling his thing out?
Those were about to happen.
I'll take the Bible, dude.
That was probably Matt Rhule,
man.
That was probably Matt Rhule.
So, he was winding up to do that, right, Tony?
Yeah.
He was just trying to get us distracted with it, and then all of a sudden the camera was going to open up.
Right. Take that, biblical.
And by the way, biblical, I ain't even trying to be mean, bro. Like, I genuinely like people that pray for other people and stuff, but it's like, that's not what this is for, bro.
He was about to say, it has risen.
If I this up, I find this hilarious. In 2018, Ron Rivera fired. January of 2018, he fired quarterbacks coach Ken Dorsey and special teams coordinator Thomas McGilly something. I can't pronounce that name. Well, today, the Giants have granted permission for Matt Rhule to interview the same Thomas for special teams.
He was our coordinator from 2016 and 17, right?
Yeah, and we've also interviewed Ken Dorsey, who we fired on the same day, to be offensive coordinator. Y'all, I expect somewhere or another, Mike Schuler to come here somewhere on the job.
They're going to hire Scotty.
Who?
They're going to hire Scotty
Mike
Montgomery.
Schuler. Mike Schuler might be O-line coach.
The country center?
They got to get, I think, Pep Hamilton, man. Like, they got to, I like
I
him.
agree. He was my top choice, actually. But
no, so that's a good question. Let's go around.
Yeah.
Who does everybody have like a preferred offensive coordinator pick? We'll go around here. Yeah, Alex, we'll start with you, man. You have a name?
Yeah,
Pep, right?
I'm going to say I want Pep Hamilton. I think that's the sexy pick. I mean, that's the rock star that apparently, Tepper is. I think he's looking for.
Yeah.
I mean, he was there. I think he coached Andrew Luck, and he's coached a couple other guys. I think Deshaun Watson as well. So I mean, as the QB coach. So I think that would be great. We got a big mess on our hands. So like, even if we bring in somebody, like, honestly, it's up to Matt Rhule the first month of the season to see what he could do. If not, he's going to get the axe. So, I mean, I think I lost, like, back to Tony, I lost respect. I think immediately went right after the hire when he talked about Cam Newton and how much he meant to the organization, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden he got cut. That was shocking to me. I mean, I was shocked. He's the franchise quarterback for Carolina Panthers. Like, I just didn't understand. I mean, I know the injuries creeped up on him the last few years, but just to get rid of him and then bring in Teddy Bridgewater and then now Sam, it's just a QB carousel. We don't really know what we're doing, and to bring in another free agent like a Tyrod Taylor or someone like that, it doesn't make any sense. Like I say, build the O-line, roll with Darnold this year. Maybe if you can, like a Sam Howell, if he comes late in the draft, like we could draft him. But if not, let's just wait till next year. If we have a bad year, we'll get Bryce Young. So
I agree with all of that. I agree with that position 100. The problem is I think that like that's just going to get Matt Rhule fired too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
is that you're going to go out there and you're going to be what you were this year at best, probably. Maybe it'll be a little bit better. Who knows? But you don't have enough to bring in. I mean, maybe you could improve the offensive line enough, but it seems like they just don't really believe in Sam Darnold at all now. They just have done this. They did it with Teddy too. It's just like all of a sudden they just were like, well, Can't win with this dude. Let's get something else. And I feel like they think like that about Darnold right now. So
it's crazy that we were worse. It's crazy that we were worse with like getting rid of Teddy.
I know.
It's just crazy.
And it was teed up to do it the right way for us this past year. We have not built towards the future at all in the process. See, is that we would have all been completely fine if last year we overhauled the defense. This year in the draft, we started to work on building a strong offensive line, whether that be taking multiple offensive linemen, even second, third, load up on them. And then you start to build for the future. And you say, hey, if Sam Darnold works this year, then we're going to be great. If not, we're going to go out there. We're going to be in the draft. We're going to be aggressive and get some offensive playmakers. And then we'll trade for that. Big name.
I was telling you, you're right, Tony. But the thing is, they screwed up last year by that pick of J.C. Horn. What they should have done is kept Teddy Bridgewater, kept their picks, not trade for Sam Darnold, draft Justin Fields or Mac Jones, have them sit on the bench for a year, let Teddy play out this season. Then you get rid of Teddy. You got a rookie quarterback on a rookie deal. Then you go and build up your offensive line for that rookie to start this coming season. Matt Rhule looks like a genius, and we keep rolling.
And you know what me and Tony were saying last night too? Matt Rhule literally says that was his plan. He said they looked at what Kansas City did. They brought in Alex Smith, and then when they had their opportunity to draft Mahomes, they did. And he literally said verbatim, have a bridge quarterback. That's what Teddy was. And then we would draft our Patrick Mahomes. Like you can just find a Patrick Mahomes, right? But even still, you had the opportunity to do so, and you didn't even follow your own plan.
Justin
the
Fields
dumbest shit in the
great
world
at number 8 and sitting on the bench for a season and letting Teddy play out with this past season. And would have been upset about it.
But all that would have been eliminated entirely if Matt Rhule and Scott Fitterer would have got their way, because they had already agreed to trade 2 first-round picks, which would be this pick this year and last year's pick for Matthew Stafford. It was already agreed to. The only person who nixed that is Matthew Stafford. Refused to do it, made a few phone calls, and got it all changed. Matthew Stafford's old butt would have been behind. No offense to Matthew Stafford, his old butt would have been up there behind this bad offensive line. He'd have probably got his leg broke first game.
Yeah, it'll look terrible.
Cody,
go ahead, Kevin.
You know who we should beg to come be our OC? Jim Caldwell.
I think he's the rock that's star. A name I've heard a lot too. A lot of people like Caldwell. And then another comment said earlier too, whoever the offensive coordinator is, they're probably going to be the head coach when Matt Rhule gets fired.
He has a great experience as a head coach too.
I was telling you last week, Cody. I mean, I loved what the Chargers did last year. I mean, they got Slater and Asante Samuel. Like that could have been us. We could have done that. So, I mean, they were a little bit below us. So.
By the way, another one that doesn't get mentioned enough, another miss, is that if we didn't take J.C. Horn, Paulson Adebo was drafted to the 3rd round to the Saints, and he's been great for them this year. He's another 6'1" guy, fast, he's long. Like you didn't necessarily have to spend a first-round pick on J.C. Horn, and we have to look at it in retrospect as well. You then went out and got Stephon Gilmore. You then went and got C.J. Henderson. And you had A.J. Bouye and Dante Jackson on the roster already. So it wasn't necessarily the biggest need. And by the way, and I think I can speak for most of us, this isn't really a shot at J.C. Horn. J.C. Horn is going to be a damn good corner for a long time, and we're going to be loving it when he's taking picks to the house. But when you look at the value of a shutdown corner relative to either a franchise quarterback or a franchise left tackle in Rashawn Slater, I'm sorry, the position value for those two are just higher.
And another stupid thing Matt Rhule said last on his interview, he made this big deal about not wanting to, when he said Rashawn Slater couldn't play left tackle, he saw him more of as a guard, and taking a guard at number 8 was just a little too high for that position. You took a damn defensive tackle at 7.
Yes.
Really?
Could have traded back.
That never surprised me. I knew that all along. I told y'all that, but that's nothing personal. That's just what I
a lot of people thought he'd be a guard in Carolina, even if he did.
Yeah, I knew that he.
But he didn't think taking a defensive tackle at 7 was a big deal.
Right. But I tell you somebody that we don't talk a lot about, but if I had money, I'd bet Marty Hurney would have drafted him, and that's Parsons, the linebacker that the Cowboys got.
Oh,
100%.
If Marty Hurney was this GM, Marty Hurney would have went tooth and nail and drafted that man. Because Marty would have saw the talent that he had,
he likes linebackers,
Kuechly, and would have drafted him.
Now,
I mean that's definitely.
Would Matt Rhule where would Matt Rhule have played him?
Well, his arms are too short to play defensive end.
I don't believe Matt Rhule had any choice. I believe he would turn him over to Phil Snow. Phil Snow said, "You figure him out."
No, he would have sat him, so it doesn't.
I think we would be just as upset. Like, is that the end of the day? Is that it doesn't matter how good J.C. Horn becomes. It doesn't matter how good Micah Parsons becomes, because our offensive line is so atrocious. Right. Like it just none of it matters enough until we have some sort of protection. I mean, guys just ran free at the quarterback this year. It was like they couldn't even, and it wasn't like they were doing anything fancy. It was just stunt, boom, stunt to the house, stunt up in your grill. And so it just seems like it's been malpractice to put these offensive lines out there. And so that's where I just get upset with the JC. It's not even JC Horn. Like, I mean, yeah, look, he was going to be great. Even if he was defensive rookie year, that would have been cool. But guess what? You've been on the other side of the ball. You still be getting wrecked like a mug all day long. So it seems like, how is Matt Rhule so tone deaf to the problem? And maybe we aren't as far away, man. I mean, maybe through free agency and a left tackle or a tackle in the draft or a high-end offensive lineman, you add 1 or 2 in free agency, roll out there with Sam Darnold, and you get what you kind of wanted to get next year. But it seems like Sam Darnold seems shell-shocked too, and he's still doing the same thing. You know, I went back and listened to an interview we had with Scott Mason from Play Like a Jet, who came on right when we made the trade for Darnold. And he said one of the problems, he had a lot of things to say, problems with Sam Darnold. But he said, like, the same problems he had when he came into the league, he still has today. And it's 3 years later, and it's not, yes, some of it's offensive line, but some of it is just poor footwork and stuff like this. And he just wasn't seeing the progression from him. And it just is hard to believe a guy who has had this amount of time in the league and really a lot of reps, to be honest, hasn't shown that progression. Like, you can't really bank on it now. So, I mean, we could have done a better job last year of building an offensive line. And I think that's the malpractice. Is I just feel like if we didn't pick Field, when we were waiting for that pick, that number 7 pick, I listened to our show. I just remember the feeling I had. It was like, holy shit, Justin Fields is there. I can't believe it. We thought we would never have a chance to get this guy. And then we also thought that Mac Jones was going to be, some people thought Mac Jones was going to be gone. But then you're sitting there looking at Rashawn Slater, and that was a name that a lot of people have been talking about. And it was like, all of a sudden, you're just not doing what we thought, what you could have done. In the safe, build an offensive line. Just build the offensive line.
You remember last year we were saying that maybe the Panthers should trade up to get one of those quarterbacks, and yet 2 of them fell right to us, man. And again, it's like I was saying to Drew, and like we were talking about last night, Tony. That was their plan. That is literally what they brought Teddy Bridgewater in to do, and you were still paying Teddy Bridgewater this year. It's honestly cowardice. And it's the same thing when Matt Rhule went on Rich Eisen's show and he was like, well, these rookie quarterbacks, they don't always work out, and it depends on where they go to. But, we feel like Sam still has a lot of wear left on him. It's like, one, why would you think that? You've never seen a good season from Sam Darnold. And then, number 2, why would you be under the impression that this offensive line was going to help you with Sam Darnold? It's just it's so
Why do you think
stupid.
they've been in such win now mode? Right? I thought that like when Matt Rhule came in, we were sold the long-term plan. And we said, you know what? We're all right. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's build for long-term success. Let's become the next Steelers, right? Where you build a guy where a coach is going to be here forever and you got a lot of faith and you don't need him to win in a year or two to for him to keep his job. I thought that we as fans were pretty okay with that.
I think so. I think some people were on that 3-0, like that high, that 3-0, like that defense.
Matt Rhule was on it, I guess.
Yeah,
I guess Matt Rhule was on that high more than we were.
I mean, I watching the games, we were like defensively, we looked great. I mean, but we were also playing some pretty below level teams. But offensively, I didn't think we weren't that great. Everyone was like, oh, 3-0, 3-0. I'm like, even you know what? Even my fiance, she's guilty to it as well. Like starting to buy all kinds of stuff, and I'm like, we gotta slow your roll a little bit because
she's not the only one, and I think that's a part of the answer. Like we're trying to make 5-star meals with a microwave oven, and the sad part about it is that microwave does pretty good early in the season when you're trying to heat up some ramen or a TV dinner. When you start 3-0, or you start out early in the season really good, like the Panthers have the past few years, it gives you the illusion that we're only a few pieces away, and that all we have to do is make these minor tweaks, and it kind of masks all the bigger problems on the roster.
Well, you know what? You should have made those minor tweaks on the offensive line is what you should have done. You should have said, all right, if the defense is really this good, we need to be getting aggressive and try to go get some guards or something like that. Not going and get, I guess the corner, once J.C. Horn, you did see how important having like that or how helpful that was to the other guys, having J.C. Horn out there. But I even think that they exhibited the win now mode sort of through like free agency and like the need to go pursue this quarterback. And like you guys said earlier, is that going after Stafford is not a build for the future move. That is a win, at least in the have short-term success move, right? It's like we won 5 games last year. We're about to take over. I felt like Matt Rhule thought he was about to take over the damn NFL or something like that this year.
Are you going to do a rebuild and trade away 2 first-round picks for Matthew Stafford?
Right. That you don't. Yeah. And it just, I don't understand why they haven't done what they said they were going to do.
Because they don't know how to. They have an idea. They have an idea of what they want to do, but they don't know how to enact those plans. And it also happens to be that the plans that you're trying to enact started to be crafted a year before you had your full-time general manager. Like now, Fitterer and Rhule, we already don't feel like they're on the same page. But now that they've come in at different times, they have just switched role positions as far as who has say-so over football decisions. It's like I really do feel like there is a tug of war going on between these two. And I think there's a fundamental difference in how these two are trying to build the football team.
I still don't know what we're doing in the offseason. Are we rebuilding or are we going to try to contend? I still don't know.
But you have to remember, David Tepper says one thing and does the complete opposite. He says he wants to build something for long-term success.
Yeah.
But then he turns around and he wants to win right now because he hasn't had a winning season yet. So he's trying to saying one thing but doing the complete opposite, and it's not working.
Like he's saying the right thing, but he doesn't want that. He doesn't want the right thing. He wants to win now. He just wants to say the right. He knows.
By the way, Stafford leads the NFL in interceptions too. By the way,
yeah, I'm glad we didn't get Stafford. So,
or doesn't I don't think it's interceptions. Doesn't he lead the league in pick sixes?
I thought it was interceptions, but
I thought it was pick sixes.
Definitely pick sixes.
Hey, you want to hear a cooler stat? He leads the league in pick sixes.
Yeah, right. That's even better.
Y'all, I truly believe the Rams are overrated massively.
I do too. I don't like them. I don't like their super team vibe.
I know people put Sean McVay as this excellent superstar coach. Let me ask y'all something. Name me one player he actually developed. That's a superstar.
I guess
Cooper
that
Kupp.
he developed himself.
Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp is the Triple Crown right now.
Okay. All right. Name me another one.
Developed?
Yeah. Here, let's be bluntly honest. Let's be bluntly honest, brother. John Fox did not develop Steve Smith. John Fox got lucky Steve Smith was on his team when he got hired on.
But John Fox did develop Peyton Manning.
I thought Adam Gase did.
Yeah, so did Adam. Yeah, him and Adam Gase together.
Yeah, Adam Gase thought he did too. That's why he thought he was going to develop everybody else.
Dude,
but
that's funny.
How about this? I saw a tweet that the Panthers are interviewing. What is his name? It's a special teams coordinator.
Yeah, he's the
he was fired
from the Giants.
Teams coordinator.
Yeah, that's the one Kenneth was telling us about.
Yeah, he was the one we fired in 2018.
Why are we?
What in the world? You don't want to hire anybody from the Giants right now. That would be like us hiring. Imagine if somebody called up Pat Meyer and said, "We want to hire you. We want to interview you for an offensive line job."
Yeah, what? Dude, fired.
The on the tweet it said the Giants gave permission. Like you think they're gonna say, "Oh no, you can't."
Exactly.
Y'all see that picture of Joe Judge?
Which one?
Oh, partying.
Getting the pizza and the beer.
But do you know what that's about? There's a story to that. So he was buying pizza and beer. He had a party for all the coaches
that got fired with him.
Yeah, as a thank you for like being dedicated to him and the Giants for the past 2 years. Yeah, and like that's shit, that's commendable, man.
But
first of all, he bought Busch Light. He bought Busch Light, Michelob Ultra, and Papa John's Pizza, dude.
Never mind.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
Never mind.
Number two is
I throw the pizza at him. Say, if you're gonna buy pizza, buy real pizza.
Number two is the guys should all be going, Joe, if you would have just kept your mouth shut in the last 2 weeks, we'd all still have jobs.
You know what's funny about them giving Papa John's pizza? They're in New York.
No,
like
he
you can't find better pizza in
Papa
New York.
It was like Busch Light or something out here. I'm gonna get the picture. I'll show you.
God.
Look, you guys have obviously never been to New York. New Yorkers don't necessarily have the best taste.
I like that.
But guys, you know Matt Rhule's got to be. You know it's a bad day when D'Angelo Williams is talking shit about Matt Rhule.
Yeah.
Is he?
Oh, what did he say? I didn't even hear that.
D'Angelo Williams suggests that Matt Rhule is the problem.
Yeah, we all knew that. But,
I don't disagree.
But John Ellis brings up an interesting point. I've heard his name before, though. The Evan Cooper. Evan Cooper's listed as the player personnel guy, evaluation guy, or the director of player evaluation for the Panthers. He came from Baylor. He's one of Matt Rhule guys. He's never really worked anywhere else but Baylor with Matt Rhule. Why does he have the title of director of player evaluations? So if that's the title, would he not be the one to tell Matt Rhule when how a player's doing? Unless Matt Rhule's watching himself. You often hear Matt Rhule talk about we don't think this and we don't think that. Maybe we is him and Evan.
Could be. I could see that.
I mean,
this is gonna be a messed up offseason, guys. I'm just saying that now.
Yep. It will.
We're gonna need a lot of CP therapy.
I think after the draft, we are going to be ballistically mad. I don't think there's. Look at that.
Oh, that's the beer.
Yeah, it's Coors Light, Michelob Ultra.
Click on the pictures.
That cheap.
I don't know what the top one is. Maybe it's Corona or something. Maybe.
Yeah,
I did see
here is the pizza. This looks like Papa John's boxes to me. Something similar to that.
It
Maybe
could
it's
be Domino's.
Didn't he just get paid like all that contract money at once?
Yeah, look at how
He's
nice
buying all
that
that
house
cheap
is too, and they roll up that cheap ass beer and that cheap ass pizza.
Dude, let that serve as a reminder when people are like, "Oh, you're too mean to people for calling for their jobs." Yeah, go cry on your bed of millions.
This
Give
guy
me
is
a
also
break.
like
Why do
this.
nothing?
They're like, damn, you couldn't spring for some better beer. He go, I just lost my job, dude.
By the way, when you're talking about D'Angelo Williams, he quote tweeted an article by the Panthers Wire. He said, "What if I told you the problem is Matt Rhule?" So yeah, dude, everyone's on this, man. Like everyone knows, everybody wants him fired, and Matt Rhule knows his ass is on the hot seat, and that's part of the reason why I agree
He's
with Drew.
trying.
I don't think that based on the comments we've heard from Fitterer and Matt Rhule, I do not think that we have any intention of starting the season next year with Sam Darnold, be it for better or worse. I just think that's the truth.
I'm stunned at how what Matt Rhule's character has looked like versus how I was told he was going to be as a person. Right? It's like as soon as he comes in and gives that speech, and there's like everybody. This is a dude that does it the right way, does everything the right way. Stand up, dude. And then people will message you, be like, "You're gonna love Matt Rhule, man. Great coach." And then like all he has done, and I'm not talking about our performance. It's just like this ain't my fault. This ain't my fault. This is somebody else's fault. Somebody else's fault. Fired everybody. He hasn't done any of those character. And I'm not saying he's just like been a complete scumbag,
right?
But it doesn't seem like that attribute has been the top. It's like he is just worried.
Pressure.
He seems like a pretender.
I'm surprised. I'm just shocked that it's bad. He's as bad character-wise as he is. I think
he's someone who pretends to know what he's doing. He's someone who pretends to have character. And listen, let someone reveal themselves to you. Don't believe who a man says he is. Believe who he shows you he is. And through his actions on the football field and during interviews, the man just reveals himself to everyone. It's like not hard for your average person to see. I don't think that that Panther fandom has ever been so unanimously behind getting someone off of our team.
There's
not even Marty Hurney.
Never. No, not even Marty Hurney.
Yeah, not even
there is a picture on. I wish I had it.
I got it.
You know what I'm talking about, man.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, and
maybe Jimmy Clausen,
because it's the truth. It's got the old guard.
He
it's
wasn't
got
hated.
No, and a lot of people have sympathy for Clausen. He was put in a situation he wasn't going to win, and everybody knew what
he hated more than Jimmy Clausen. Mel Kiper.
Oh yeah, that's the
for
truth.
telling us that Jimmy Clausen was good.
Never
it's like that's whose fault it was.
I still don't watch Mel Kiper on draft day ever.
And there's your picture, Kenneth.
Yes. That's right, and that's the truth of it.
Everybody is just like,
everybody.
This clown gotta go, dude. Everybody knows, man. Panther fans are unanimous behind this too, and like that's the interesting thing now is Fitterer and Matt Rhule know this. They know that the fans are not behind this. My question to you all is, and I asked this to Tony last night. When are we going to hear from David Tepper?
Yep.
If at all. Like, I mean, I feel like the past
I don't know that we're going to, and I really mean that because, I mean, what if David Tepper isn't planning to fire Matt Rhule, and it don't look like he is? Although I was reminded today by an Eagle fan, before they fired their head coach, they waited a week after everybody else did to fire him, so he's still got time. But I don't see he's going to. Because I don't think they would. I don't think they would allow him to go do all these interviews and all these talking, and to put Matt Rhule on WFNZ twice in one day, at 8 o'clock and 10 o'clock.
It was only one. No, they just replayed the interview.
No. I will listen to both of them, sir. He was on two different interviews with two different hosts.
That's what I thought, Tony.
It was exactly two different interviews. He was on at 8 o'clock and 10 o'clock, and Scott Fitterer was on again at 4:20 something. or 320 rather. So it was. I thought that was odd. So I thought, that's a Carolina Panther PR stunt.
Hey Cody, that since the Texans fired their head coach, Matt Rhule now is 1-5 against fired head coaches. He's got the
1-6, right?
What if he was
1-7?
Yeah, 1-6.
Yeah,
we lost to Flores. We lost to Judge. We lost to. Dave Kelly was the only one that we beat.
But David Tepper comes up. Let's say, what's he going to do? He's going to say, "Yeah, folks, I'm not going to fire Matt Rhule." Was that what he's going to say?
Yeah.
I'm not going to fire Matt Rhule because I still trust him. I mean, if that's all he's going to say, I don't want to hear from him.
I always said that you need to give a coach 3 years, but this is awful.
Yeah, it's too much. None of us even thought that there was a scenario where we were going to be calling for Matt Rhule.
If he wants to give him 3 years, I don't want him to be able to trade any of next year's picks.
No,
that should be locked down and illegal to do, no matter whoever it is.
Well, they need to give control of the football team and the football decisions back to Scott Fitterer. Yeah, I mean, it really needs to be the people making decisions to put players on the football team is on Fitterer and our front office, and then Matt Rhule simply coaches the players that he's given. That's how it should be, but that's not how David Tepper is going to do it.
I don't really trust Scott Fitterer no more than I trust Matt Rhule, to be honest about it.
I'm willing to give Fitterer more time now that I feel like he's beefing with Matt Rhule, because I don't feel like he's even in agreement with all of the things that Matt Rhule has done. I mean, look at all the Temple and Baylor players that we bring in as free agents.
I agree. But my point is honestly, we have more positions of need than let's just say left tackle and quarterback, and I don't think a lot of people pay attention. We need a safety. We need probably 3 linebackers. But if you want to calculate a few backups or defensive ends, depending on what system we want to run.
We did resign PJ Walker, which says a lot.
Yeah, well, whoopee. I mean,
it says that here's the thing. I think our tackles, I think we're fine. Okay. I think Brady Christensen will be fine at left tackle next year. Okay. So let's focus on the interior 3. I don't know what a good pick number is for a center, but I'd be okay if a center was our first round draft pick.
Well,
right now,
where we're at.
Now, the name that has the most buzz around it at center is Tyler Linderbaum. He's the center from Iowa. And the dude is a beast. And listen, Iowa linemen on defense and offense are legendary for their feats in the weight room. I mean, look at Tristan Wirfs, even apparently Davion Nixon on our team was one of those guys as well. So, and there's a clip of Tyler Linderbaum in college beating Tristan Wirfs in a wrestling match. They were collegiate wrestlers, and Linderbaum beat Tristan Wirfs, the badass tackle for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So I have seen a bunch of mock drafts that do have Linderbaum as a top 10 pick, and I think that would be absolutely fantastic, man. Think how important Ryan Khalil was to those teams in 2014 and 2015 and 2017. Like, he was an important part of that. And they also call protection too. They're pointing out the Mike linebacker and formations just like the quarterback is doing. So that would be a hugely important piece for us.
One thing, if I can throw this out there real quick about talk about the offensive line, an interesting. Kyle Bailey was trying to tell folks today on the radio that he had heard through reliable sources that the team really liked Cross. That was one of the guys in the draft that Fitterer was talking about that he really liked
from Mississippi State.
Yeah. So and I'm just going to throw this out there. If for some chances we draft Cross, I'm all right with kicking Christensen inside to left guard. Because with all due respect to Brady Christensen, Cross seems to be a better tackle. at this stage right now.
My only issue with that, and then we'll go to Kevin. My only issue with that is that I have not yet seen any evidence that he can play guard effectively. I've seen him do some good things this season when they put him in, but his best reps on the offensive line far and away came from when he was playing right and left tackle.
But there's actually another guy I like better than that, though. But there's no way on God's green earth. The guy from North Carolina State, Cody. I would never pronounce his name. For the love of my life, I would never.
I believe it's Ikem Ikonwu.
Yeah, that's who we need to draft, just so everybody's have trouble pronouncing his name. So, I mean, that's who we need to draft. That dude, I've watched film of him. That dude can play inside and outside with relative ease.
Yeah,
Cody,
go ahead, Kevin.
I was gonna say, would you draft your left tackle and then maybe consider trading Taylor Moton, moving Christian to right tackle?
No.
Saving money on that right tackle?
Need depth.
What has Taylor Moton done? What has Taylor Moton done?
Taylor Moton
been
was the best
available
lineman we had last year.
Yeah.
Taylor Moton has been available.
Well, he was great. He was super great before last year. And let's be clear, though. Taylor Moton was never – when Taylor Moton was drafted, he was drafted to play guard. That's when they drafted him to play guard to replace Norwood, who we let go to Jacksonville.
How many people would be willing? How many people would be in the chat room and on the show? How many people would be willing to entertain trading Taylor Moton?
Nope.
Would you be saving money if you traded him?
No. I'll look that up right now, but I'm 100% certain.
Again, and like
I guarantee you, we won't save money because we
just signed a contract
him to a 4-year. What was it? Was it 4-year, 5-year, something like that?
Yeah.
I mean, we got one shiny gold rim on a crappy car again.
We drafted
but
him.
How do you hold that against him, though, Kevin?
I'm not holding it against him. I'm just saying you can get more with him.
Well, and I also understand the mindset that it might be easier. It might be easier to replace a right tackle.
And we have no picks.
Yeah, I understand the mindset. I just think that when you look at what Taylor Moton has been asked to do, like, how about that? That's another unsung hero, right? I'm not saying Taylor Moton was the best right tackle in the NFL this year, but so much of offensive line play is playing in tandem with one another. And I mean, how many right guards did Taylor Moton have playing next to him this year? I mean, there was almost
exactly. So what are you going to do? Have him play him again?
But imagine how much better he might be, though, Kevin. Once you, like, for example, let's say you put Deonte Brown at right guard and he continues to ball out there, then you might see the best of Taylor Moton that we haven't seen in a while.
Let me ask you this, though: if you're another team, how much would you give for Taylor Moton?
Yeah, I mean, if you get a first,
you're not. I mean, I wouldn't give you a first for Taylor Moton. Not right now. Not with that contract on his shoulders. And I mean, if for a right tackle, I can go find somebody else. Well, I can surrender my own first round pick for a right tackle, and then be under a rookie deal.
I think that's what Kevin's saying too.
I mean, Taylor Moton only got moved to right tackle because Darrell Williams broke a leg.
I'm just saying we can probably
we
move
tried him at guard.
Right tackle,
he really didn't play good at guard, but we were just going to go through the season that way. And then I think in one of the preseason games, Williams broke his leg, so then we kicked Motrin out to right tackle where he was his rookie year, or where he was, and he's been the rookie. He's been a tackle ever since.
But with the injuries on the offensive line, why would you deplete?
We've been gaining it.
How would you gain anything? You're depleting
you're getting the
crowd of the ball that we're already hurting on.
So I'm not saying that I agree with Kevin, but I think what Kevin's saying is that one, maybe you could put Brady Christensen at right tackle and think that he could play pretty well. And by the way, the Panthers have said that they even see him as a future right tackle, which is confusing since you just paid your right tackle. But whatever. Also, you think of you might be able to find more replaceable right tackles in the draft rather than a franchise left tackle. Again, I don't agree with that. I say you just let Taylor finally start to have some good players next to him and I think that you'll see the benefits of that. And you have a proven offensive lineman. Like at a time when the Panthers' offensive line is so terrible, what's that going to look like if we're getting rid of someone that we just paid? You know.
I'm just
And
saying.
as Scott Fitterer said last year, when everybody was saying, "Well, he should be out there instead of trading for DBs, he should be trying to trade for offensive linemen," and he says nobody's trading for offensive linemen because linemen are getting hurt.
A lot of people want to bring up the Eagles.
Andre Dillard.
Yeah, Dillard. A lot of people want to bring that up. And hey, I heard another trade proposal on the radio today about sending Burns there because the Eagles need a good guy like that. And then for him and anyway, what the Eagles have always said, they're not trading him. Why? Because they like him and they need him, and he's on his rookie contract.
Yeah,
I mean, why would they? If I was the Eagles, I wouldn't trade him either.
And you have a 5th-year option too. It's like why get rid of all that financial freedom that you have, and you have a talented player that you're still trying to get the best out of with the new coaching staff.
Yep.
Yeah, man. Yeah. A lot of that is stuff that we're going to be talking about all offseason.
Yeah.
Who was the guard we traded away for like a second round to the Chargers?
That was Trey Turner.
He's a free agent this year
because people freaked out when we traded him.
Yeah, you'll see him playing tomorrow. I think it is because he's playing for the Steelers.
Yeah, and by the way,
we traded Trey Turner for a left tackle.
Yeah.
We can draft a left tackle.
A left tackle.
That left tackle is no longer on our football team. So that's even better, man. The ghost of Marty Herney still haunts us. But I mean, no, look, that's a good point, man.
Right now?
Who?
Huh?
Or did someone pick him up, or is he still a free agent? No, not Trey Turner.
Russell Okung? Yeah, he didn't play this year.
No, he didn't. I've heard that he hasn't technically retired, but he turned down a bunch of contracts this year. Dude, he wasn't interested in playing this year. So,
and by the way, I also want to say that I heard that Steeler fans aren't necessarily in love with Trey Turner either.
No,
he slowed down.
No.
And we remember that too. Even at the end of his tenure with the Panthers, it didn't feel like Trey Turner was the player that he once was.
Right. He was a Pro Bowl now too.
Well, Andrew Norwell's a free agent this year too.
He's going to cost too much, don't you think?
If they're not trying to retain him, he might be cheaper, man. Those two dudes are best friends. Wouldn't that be cool if we brought back Andrew Norwell and Trey Turner and they were able to ball out for us? I don't know.
That would be cool. I don't know realistically it is.
I'd bring back Norwell before I brought back Turner.
Yeah. And if you have Deonte Brown, you can put Andrew Norwell right back where he was at left guard. And just let him go. But
all you have to do is fill the center position because
Andrew Norwell's only 31 though. I thought he was a little older than that.
Yeah, but you have Norwell at left guard, Christensen at left tackle, Deonte Brown at right guard, and Tatum Moton at right tackle. Then you just got to fill the center position at that point.
Yeah, and then there are players that. Oh, and then apparently Deonte Brown is saying that he wants to train to do some center this year. I think that's a terrible idea.
I believe that's a Matt Rhule.
100%. That's a Matt Rhule thing.
Does anybody got PFF?
Now there's a few centers, or there's a few right guards I like a lot that I think could play center, but I don't know that they've ever.
Wait, hold on, Nick. What were you gonna say?
I don't know, man. Having Deonte Brown in the center as that big boy in the middle, I am all for it, man. And you know what?
As long as he plays.
I've been meaning to say this too, and Tony, you brought this up. I think it was on Tuesday, whenever you talked about Deonte Brown and how he felt like he wasn't. I forget how you worded it, but it was almost like the coaching staff was putting him down for how much he weighed and everything like that. As someone who's dealt with weight issues my whole life, okay, I've learned to let that shit roll off my back. But I used to let that get in my head and bug me, man. You cannot get on someone about their weight, especially if they're effective at what they do at the weight that they're at. Okay? That dude is a people mover, and he has been the best guard that we've had all season long, in my opinion. So why are you giving that man shit for what he weighs whenever he does his job the way that he's supposed to?
Because
Yeah,
Matt
better
Rhule
than anyone else
expects
on the
guards
roster.
to be at a certain weight, just like he
Yeah.
expects his left tackles to have a certain arm length.
Oh, it's so embarrassing, man. It's embarrassing. And also, like, when you look at his film from Alabama, that's all the dude ever did. I remember him stonewalling Derek Brown. Dude, Brown and Brown went after one another when Auburn played Alabama. And in my humble opinion, Deonte Brown got the better of those two exchanges.
Yeah.
Here
incredible,
is the quote. So this is from a story on Panthers.com where it's about Deonte Brown and Brady Christensen. And it says this, so it's quote, honest from Brown. Honestly, I learned that I do belong here, if that makes sense. I think that's been one of the biggest challenges I've had personally is believing I can play and play at a high level and play good. I've got more and more confidence in my ability to play and be good. To me, I mean, he's used words like weight loss journey. He says, I feel more powerful, more explosive. I really have no complaints. There are no disadvantages. I feel like, but to me and he says that was my biggest thing coming in was sustaining what I can do throughout the whole game and not just in spurts. But for me saying believe in myself, I was like, man, you just got drafted to the NFL. I mean, I know that you could be intimidated to a certain degree, but I was just wondering, just like the comments get to Matt Rhule, right? Is that that Brady Christensen has had to go up there and answer questions about whether or not he can be a tackle in the league.
Hey Brady, why are your arms so short?
I've never heard a coach just say, like, I just directly, like, we just don't see him doing that when everybody else on the team is sucking.
Yeah. Could you imagine if one of our reporters was just like, hey, Brady, how hard was it growing up with those little T-Rex arms you got? I
want to ask, if I have one question I could ask Scott Fitterer, if I was those radio hosts, I would ask, what went into the decision to keep Matt Rhule for another season?
He's going to love my pay grade.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we would probably, like, how would you, I mean, and I just don't know. It's like, I think you guys said it earlier and you're right. It's like David Tepper and Scott Fitterer have to know that this ain't right. Yeah. And I really want to say that for me is like, what is the best case scenario for next season? Like, what is the absolute, like, if Matt Rhule could have a wet dream tonight, what is it? Because is it putting together an entire new staff almost? Like half of your staff you're replacing. You don't have faith in your quarterback situation. You have a lot of question marks on the offensive line. You said over and over that you got questions at linebacker, safety. Like, how much better? I mean, it almost feels like the third year should have been the first or second year. Like, I don't know. Like, what could he do? Like, as you say, Pep Hamilton, never been an offensive coordinator, by the way. He did work with Justin Herbert last year as a quarterbacks coach, so that's interesting.
He's worked with Andrew Luck before, Davis Mills,
passing
Justin
game
Herbert.
Coordinator for and quarterbacks coach for Houston. But, like, I mean, are you gonna land an OC that installs a new offensive, like, kind of complete overhaul? Get better on the defense and find a quarterback and an offensive line. It seems like you got so many things you got to hit on.
Yeah, and not a lot of ammunition to make those hits. It's like there's so many things that we need to do. It's like, and by the way,
what would it take for him to get his job, keep his job?
Well, okay, so to me, it's kind of dependent on everything that happens going forward with the offensive coordinator and with the quarterback position.
But if I may, people talk about Pep Hamilton. Pep Hamilton never interviewed with us. They wanted him to, but he turned it down because he's already been offered the OC job for the Texans.
I've heard that he is going to take that job too. That's kind of what I'm
I wanted him myself, but I would have been all right to hire him as head coach, but that's just that's neither here nor there.
So, Nick, I know you have to go, and I'm fixing to give you your out here, but I wanted to get your opinion on this question before we left, and then I'll let you bounce. And I put this in the description, and I want to get everyone, but I'll let Nick go first. Are the Panthers going to trade back, or are we just going to stay put at 6 and draft a player? Because you can make a reasonable scenario where a center that we really like falls right to us, that a tackle falls right to us. And how about this? And I'm going to continue to float this out there and say it as a possibility. There might even be an edge rusher at that position that the Panthers might like, that they'd be willing to take at the 6th spot. So my question to you, and we'll start with Nick, do you think the Panthers are going to stay put, or are they going to trade back?
So right now, without looking and seeing what the needs are with everybody in front of us and the possibility for who could trade for number 6 pick, I personally like Danielle's idea of trading back and hoping that we get that center that you had talked about earlier in a later first round pick. Now, if I was to trade back personally, the furthest I would go back is about anywhere from 12 to 15. Just because after that point, we're going to start missing out on the players that we would want for what we need.
Right.
But in my opinion, there's really only a couple of positions that I'm picking in the first round. First one would be linebacker. And that's not even the number one choice that I would go after. But let's face it, the first round linebackers you're going to get an elite linebacker in the first round, most likely. But at the same time, I'm all for getting a center at number 6. I'd rather trade back and get the same center or one that could be just as good. But center is the one that comes to mind as what we need to take in the first round. And I'm not about getting a quarterback in the first round. I'm not about it. And if we're trading picks, we better not be looking to trade away next year's picks to fill this year's draft.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, I don't see that happening.
Yeah, we shouldn't.
A lot of good stuff. Nick, I thank you for always hanging out with me on Friday, man. You know you're the man.
Definitely, guys. Happy to be here. And this weekend, let's go Bills and let's go Eagles.
Yeah, man. I like that. I like the Bills especially, dude. I like that Bills pick especially.
I got to go for the Rams.
Yeah, man. Hope everything works out, man, with that situation that you got going on. Don't kill nobody coming up here soon. Don't punch no one in the face.
Nah. I'm not a violent person, man. So
yeah, I don't blame you, though. I don't blame you if you did after what happened. But you're the man, dude. Happy you could join us. And, dude, we'll be back here Friday, bro.
Definitely.
All
Keep
right,
pounding,
see you,
guys.
Nick.
Peace and love.
Peace, man.
Yeah, so let's continue with that question. Drew, what are you thinking, man? You're my fellow draft Nick. I know you like the draft and all the inner workings, which, by the way, keep your eyes peeled to this Friday free-for-all. We're going to do some really fun things around the draft here on the Friday free-for-all very, very soon. But, Drew, what do you think, man? Do you think the Panthers are in a position to trade back, or are we going to fall in love with the player and just have to take them?
Honestly, guys, I think we'll find out what we're going to do at the draft the first couple of days of free agency.
Ooh,
if we spend big on offensive line and free agency, we won't have again, like I said earlier, we won't have that first round pick because they're going to package that. They're going to package that pick up for a quarterback.
Yeah.
If we go get a Brandon Sheriff and bring in maybe an Andrew Norwell, guys like that, and they stack up on the offensive line the first couple of days, that first round pick is gone. Because there's no way they're going to build that lineup to that degree and say, okay, now we're going to stick Sam Darnold behind it and we're going to hitch our wagon to Sam Darnold. It's not going to happen. Sorry. Matt Rhule's on thin ice as it is. He's not going to hitch his wagon to Sam Darnold to save his job.
I hope Tepper makes him. But he won't.
We can hope, but we also hope that Tepper would have fired him Monday, and it didn't happen. So
it depends. Panther Nation, listen, I don't know what would happen Panther Nation is going to be in for some very interesting discussions. If, and again, this is only an if, and I have a very famous saying about ifs, but if we did land Deshaun Watson, the conversations that would be had would be very interesting, man. Very interesting. Not only for the controversies off the field, but how much we would be giving up to get him compared and contrast to the fantastic quarterback that he is on the field. It would be a crazy discussion.
Yeah, you have to admit, Cody,
it would be
if
crazy.
He traded for Deshaun Watson, he just bought himself another season because he satisfied one of David Tepper's biggest things, which was a franchise quarterback. He's like, look, I got you your franchise quarterback. I fixed the I put the O-line together enough for him. Now I need another season to keep building on what the foundation that I've laid. If he gets Deshaun Watson, he'll be here another season.
We can't. I'm sorry, we can't do both. I just don't see how we could trade for a guy like Deshaun Watson, give the Texans all they want, and then turn around and fix the offensive line. I have failed to see how you could do both.
Hey, the Saints have done it for years.
Well, the Saints also have a respected head coach, and we knowTt Rhule's not.
Well, I understand.
And GM too. Mickey Loomis.
You're talking about having the money for one thing and having a respected head coach. That's two different things.
But the Saints also built their offensive line in the draft.
This is true.
They always draft offensive linemen.
And
but also, and listen, the only reason that I know this, is because my brother is a diehard Saints fan. Their general manager's name is Mickey Loomis, and he's also pretty well renowned and respected. He's the one that gave them that fantastic 2017 draft class with Kamara and Ramczyk and Marshawn Lattimore. So, I mean, they've got people over there.
We've got two linemen on a rookie deal too, so you got to look. If you get Sheriff for somebody like that, Sam Darnold's gone after next season. That's $18 million you're adding onto the books at that point.
Deshaun Watson's cap number this year is $40 million. His next year is $42 million.
Now, what if you bring him in and you extend him and you extend that money over multiple seasons?
You could do that, but you got to remember though. After that, it's $37 million. Then after that, it's $32. He's got a lot of money, and I mean.
But you could change that into signing bonus and guaranteed, and you
if he wants to. If he's
just saying, there are ways to maneuver around the cap. The Saints have done it for years.
And I understand that, but then of course you're also looking at who you're giving up to get him. If you give up, say, Derek Brown, or not Derek. Well, if you give up a bunch of players,
Burns.
If you give up players, you're going to have to recoup that. Because I don't think the Texans are going to say, give us 2 picks or 3 picks and Brian Burns, and that'll cover that. I don't think the Texans are going to do that. I think they're hardcore in what they want. And I think they're going to get something like what they want, but I think it's going to be from a team like Denver or.
But what does Denver have? But the thing is, what does Denver have?
They've got a good offensive line. They've got a good receiving core. They've got a good defense.
They don't have a head coach yet.
Denver's no, but they're going to interview Flores. If they get Flores, they've got everything but a quarterback.
So, Kenneth, let me ask you this. Kenneth, let me ask you this. What would you do if we're not going to do that, if we can't fix the O-line and get a quarterback and be a Russell or Deshaun or whoever, what do the Panthers do? Do we trade back, or do you think that they're going to, take a D end, or what are they going to do at 6? It's early still.
Yeah, I think they're going to be active in free agency. They're not going to get high dollar free agencies. Number one, they don't have a $24 million available in cap, but they could always get more cap if they wanted to, and it works out. But you always got to pay the piper. Last year, we made cap by converting Paradis' contract, but because we converted Paradis' contract and we knocked a few years off of it, we also, unless we re-sign him, we're going to pay him $8 million in dead cap because of we re-signed him. Or because we redid his contract to say $4 million this year, so you always got to pay the piper somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Now, nonetheless, I think we're going to go out and get a quarterback that we don't want to get. We're going to get a flunky. We're going to get I named him long ago.
Anybody in free agency
like
gets
that.
Matt Rhule fired.
You know, I mean, well, there's not a lot he can do about it because not only that, but all the quarterbacks, the high dollar quarterbacks, have a no trade clause. You've got to give them a reason to come here. If you tell Jameis Winston, or if you tell Watson or Russell Wilson to drop your trade clause, and rework your contract to give us cap, and you can come here, why would they do that?
Yeah.
I mean, there's no reason why they would do that.
Crazier things have happened.
So, I mean, it's possible, but you've got to give them a reason to come here. And there's going to be a bunch of other teams with a bunch of others that's good. The Eagles, for example, if the Eagles decide, hey, we would like to have Deshaun Watson, they have 3 first-round picks in this year's draft.
Well, another interesting thing about that, though, is Miami and Philadelphia were the teams that were the biggest players in the Deshaun thing. I kind of feel like both of them could be out now. Exactly. I feel like the new organization might want to take a run on Tua. And I think, look, the Philadelphia Eagles are in the playoffs. Jalen Hurts clearly has some kind of potential. So
Flores is out as head coach because of
a better team.
I like.
Say that one more time, Drew.
I'm just saying that if you take those 3 first-round picks and you actually use those picks and draft players, you're just making your team stronger. And you got 3 players on rookie deals.
Yeah.
Get another receiver, get another lineman,
I wanted to trade.
Corner.
Right.
They're good to go. And by the way, that's why I hate the people that say that you shouldn't ever draft. No, bullshit. If y'all look at how Howie Roseman, the general manager of the Philadelphia Eagles, has managed that team, they have managed to get value and turn around on a bunch of very important picks fairly quickly. I mean, look at the amount of players that they have had leave them, and yet they're in the playoffs right now. So, again, man, you should always try to be building for the future to some extent. Tony, what's that you, man? Do you think that we're going to trade back, or do you think that the Panthers are going to just fall in love with someone and take them right there?
I don't. I was trying to look at the top 10 to see who would someone really die to trade up for, and there's not a lot of names on the list that I think around that are must-haves. Right. Even are there any questions with the Evan Neal guy at all? I mean, he's 360 pounds. Is this team going to be like he can't play? He's too fat.
I think
I wouldn't put it past him. They'd be dumb enough to do it.
How good is he? How good is he, Cody?
So, all right, this is very, very early in my evaluation process. I reserve the right to change my opinion upon better information. But right now, he's OT1. I think I probably put him a hair above everybody else. And also, look, let's be real. And I said this with Deonte Brown, too. It kind of means a little bit more when you come from Alabama. When you look at what they do against the competition that they play, how Alabama is always involved in things, how many linemen they put into the NFL. Yeah, I give Neal the edge as the best OT in this class.
Right now on Draft Tech, you guys have the kid from NC State.
Yeah, and Cayman Conwu. It has a crazy name. Kenneth already alluded to it.
When I look at this, is that a day late, dollar short on drafting an offensive lineman, right? Is because, is that you bring in a rookie offensive tackle and he's going to struggle. They're not going to just come in and they'll play probably, but it's not going to be mistake free. We've seen it over and over. And, if Matt Rhule is shy or hesitant on pulling the trigger on a quarterback because there's only a 20% success rate, the success rate for tackles has got to be pretty low too. I mean, I've been in this game for a minute. Every year we're looking at the tackles, and then every year you go back and you look at guys like Eric Flowers or whatever, and they're just not what they were. I mean, how many? Yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of people in the top 10 even that if you go back and they're still not with their teams or doing all that well. I just looked at the free agent list right here, and there are a significant amount of reputable offensive linemen available.
Yeah.
At the very, very top end, you got the Armstead dude from New Orleans.
Cover me, Tony.
Yeah, so you get the Armstead guy from New Orleans is available. I saw this is, hold on, let me see. So here are some names available in free agency. Teron Armstead, New Orleans. Then you've got come on. Oh, we don't need any of these wide receiver. Orlando Brown is going into free agency. He's another tackle prospect. You got Ryan Jensen, who is the center for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You've got Andrew Norwell's like way down on the list when it comes to like kind of how they've ranked them. I mean, there's a lot of offensive players ahead of him. Brandon Sheriff is at guard. You've got, let's see, the guard Daniels from Chicago, who has come on and played pretty well this year. Laken Tomlinson is a guard from San Francisco. So there's some guards and tackle prospects out there. So I think what the Panthers do when I'm looking at it is, guess who they have mocked at 11? The Washington football team picking. Pickett. Kenny Pickett. I think the Panthers take the shot at their quarterback this year.
I could see that.
And what they do is they go out in the free agency, put 2 free agents on this line, right? So then you got Taylor Moton. You've got maybe say like Armstead and a guard you pick up. And then you try to make sure Brady Christensen and hopefully F-line can play center. And you try to make the offensive line go from the worst to like
middle,
maybe top 15 overnight. Mid, you know what I mean? But that's what they're, and then you roll with Darnold, knowing that he's probably not going to get that much better. But if, you give him a little bit of protection, maybe you can squeeze more of the juice out of it. And then you wait for the moment when he's really stinking, and then you put Pickett in. I think the Panthers get backed into a corner after missing so many times in free agency with these quarterbacks, and they know they can't afford to make the big time trade, right? Because then if you make the big time trade for one of these quarterbacks, you're going to have difficulty upgrading the offensive line, both through the draft. Are you like Drew says, like you're going to give away your first round pick. So how do you can't really upgrade it through the offensive line. Then you got to do it all through free agency, which is you're going to probably dump a lot of money into whatever quarterback you get. Probably having to re-sign him right away. And they're not going to be playing for no $18 million if it's Aaron Rodgers and Aaron Rodgers is not coming to Carolina.
Hell no.
I'm sorry. He's is not.
Deshaun Watson's the only option at this point. It really is. Russell Wilson's not leaving Seattle, and Aaron Rodgers is not coming here. So really, it's either Deshaun Watson or you're really screwed.
So write it down, Cody. I'm putting in my far too early prediction.
Okay.
It's Kenny Pickett, drafted by the Carolina Panthers at 6.
Okay. And you know what, man? I think something that we all have to realize, too, is that just like every draft season, we all find our draft crushes. That's like, oh man, this dude is so good. He would be so good on our football team. The coaches do that as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if our coaches, maybe they didn't want to take a quarterback, but maybe they do fall in love with Matt Corral and his dedication to the team and all this stuff. And Kenny Pickett, maybe he impresses them somewhere throughout the process. You really just don't know, man. And
especially drafting Kenny Pickett will go right against everything Matt Rhule has said. He said, left tackles, it has to be, certain arm length and everything. He's going to take a guy with probably the smallest hands in the draft to be his quarterback.
Fits his profile.
But Drew,
he did recruit him. He recruited him to Temple, though.
He did recruit him, but also, you know what else, Drew? Matt Rhule is such a proven hypocrite at this point.
Yeah.
It doesn't surprise me. Dude,
I think I think the reason they pick a quarterback is because they're feeling the pressure to put the to show that they've made a step towards getting that right. whether it is right. You know what I'm saying? Like because if you go and they just, so think about this. If we just run it back with Sam Darnold, right? Which you're kind of going to have to a certain degree.
I want to ask you a question after you're done.
And you draft a offensive lineman with that 6, because I just don't think there's going to be a giant market to trade back. Okay, so maybe you trade back a pick and you get a third too. All right, so you get a first and a third. Are you going to be able to upgrade the offensive line in a meaningful way? All right, so say you pick at both of them, you get high-end offensive line talent. But at the end of the day, Matt Rhule's not going to have his job at the end of the year. You know, if you go out there and you win 6 games, but you did the right thing in building the offensive line with the next year getting the quarterback or going into free agency and getting a big name, people aren't going to have the patience to wait a 4th year on Matt Rhule. So at this point, I think he has to be thinking about what will it take for me to have a job in Carolina beyond 2022. And I think that is quick offensive line overhaul and a hot name to say you got your guy at quarterback, whether he is or isn't. I don't know if that's the answer. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if the guy will be the guy, but it feel like he's bent to pressure when he's been backed into a corner. I think he's backed into a corner right now to get the ball rolling on this damn quarterback thing.
But Tony, if you do that and you've got you draft a rookie quarterback, you fix the offensive line, that schedule we've got next year is not easy by any stretch of the imagination. You're not going to be able to throw a rookie quarterback into that and expect him to win. And if Matt Rhule does not win next year, rookie quarterback or not, he's going to be fired.
No, I think what you could maybe negate it with is that you play Sam Darnold for 6 weeks.
And he'll get fired by the bye week because Sam Darnold will screw it up.
Well, hold on. Let me
stop. But then you say like you come out of the bye week, you put the rookie in, you win a game or two and get some excitement, and all of a sudden that's enough to douse the fires or calm the pitchforks for a moment.
Well, let me ask you this. I started this question because I felt like it was good, and it's about what we're talking about. My buddy Vince says, if we get a good O-line, is Sam any better? There's no scenario where an O-line is a good answer to becoming a playoff team, or he's got to go. Thoughts? And like that is a good question. Is there any hope? Like what I've been saying to Tony is, I signed up for the Sam Darnold experiment. 1, I had no choice like everyone else. But number 2, I agreed to be a little bit optimistic for 1 season. For 1 season, because you were going to bring this guy down here and you were going to try and build around him in a way that they did not do with the New York Jets. But now that we've just utterly had him beaten and torn to shit for another year, it's like, dude, I'm not willing to undergo this experiment of is Sam Darnold a good quarterback or not
the Panthers
for
are.
Another year.
But if you watch the game film, a lot of Darnold's mistakes came from a clean pocket.
Yeah, but here's the thing is you can't upgrade the quarterback unless it's Deshaun Watson in a way that's going to be significantly better.
Exactly.
I mean, there's not, it's going to be a sort of lateral move to a certain degree. So say you go and get my guy, Gardner Minshew, who I like, right? So I would be more happy trotting Gardner Minshew out there than I would be Sam Darnold. But at the end of the day, is that you ain't going to be that much different of a team probably. I mean, you'll be a little bit better, but you've then just paid Darnold, then you've paid Minshew, and you also at the same time kick the can down for the solution even farther down the road. Yep. There's no way to fix the team without fixing the offensive line. Like it doesn't matter if it's Sam Darnold, Gardner Minshew, or Deshaun Watson, is that with the offensive line the way it is, no one's going to be able to have meaningful success there. One guy, Deshaun Watson, will be able to make more out of it, certainly, right?
Well,
like he will be able to, but you can't, it's just like going to get killed. So I think that you could write it down. The Panthers are drafting a quarterback.
But see, Tony, exactly what you just said is the reason I say we'll know what the Panthers are going to do in the draft after the first couple of days of free agency. Because as I said, if they go and they sign some high-priced offensive linemen, they're going to get a veteran quarterback, and they're going to get Deshaun. David Tepper will get Deshaun Watson come hell or high water.
I don't think he will. I think you'll hear news of the Panthers involved in it. But I think just like last year, I think these quarterbacks are going to cut it off. Because in the NFL, the way their contracts are, these big quarterbacks' contracts are set up, there has to be a two-way street there. Now, certain quarterbacks, just throw a few names out there, that contracts are not set up that way. Let's say Baker Mayfield on his fifth-year option. I'll just throw a name out there. Let's say Kirk Cousins, who the Vikings will probably cut because his cap's so high. They may be trade bait right quick, but they may not come no cheaper. But they're not under no trade clause.
This is why you got to draft a quarterback. It's a great point because here's the thing: is who the hell after listening to Matt Rhule talk for the last week,
a whine.
Would you who would have a lot of real confidence coming here that they're not that far away? No one's gonna say, "Oh, yeah, just fix the offensive line. I can make it work." They're gonna go, "Oh God." And by the way, who's the OC? He's never even worked here. We've never even seen the product. So there were so many questions that, I guess you could have forced a trade. Maybe Tua, right? Tua is going to be a guy that they'll like to say, they'll be like, oh, he's a first round talent. Did you guys read the story? They said that Flores didn't like Tua because he didn't work hard enough.
I heard it because he wanted Herbert.
No. I did not read that. I heard that there was a lot of dissension. That one of them liked Herbert, one of them liked Tua, one of them was really the one that was wanting to bring Deshaun in, and then apparently also Flores was the guy that really wanted Deshaun, and I'm sure that's why Deshaun wanted to go to Miami. And Kenneth, I think another important thing that we need to mention. I know we're kind of heavy on Deshaun Watson here, but that's like Drew said, that's really our only option if you're looking at free agency and getting a franchise quarterback, right? So I think another thing that you have to think is one, Philadelphia and Miami are not quite the destinations that they were because they have showed some promise with Jalen Hurts and potentially Tua. And then number two, Deshaun Watson just wants to play football, dude. After all this shit, he might not get the opportunity to go to the best situation that he might have been able to go to if he didn't have all these allegations against him. But, dude, he didn't play football all 2021. If the Carolina Panthers are willing to bring you in and build their offense around you, and let's say that we don't get rid of Christian McCaffrey. Let's say we don't get rid of DJ Moore. We know we have Robbie Anderson. If they're going to bring a quarterback here, they have to have offensive firepower to make good on that trade. So, I really don't think that this thing that people are saying that, oh, Deshaun would never come here. Yeah, maybe it's possible that he wouldn't. But I also don't see it very far-fetched that he's like, dude, I'm ready to play football. Let's go be a Panther.
Is it 100%, though, that he doesn't get suspended next year?
Yeah, I read something on his legal issue today. Did y'all see it?
The girl that turned down the settlement, the $100,000.
Yeah. The one woman did, so it is going to court. She won't settle it. So he may not be free to play all next year.
Yeah.
Well, but he came in a little low, didn't he? $100,000. That's a little low. I feel like.
I highly doubt.
I bet you jerk off on me for $100,000, but
I know I don't have $100,000 to make somebody shut up.
We saw a take on here. We didn't get $100,000.
Yeah,
right. Ain't no settlement coming from us.
Hold on.
Oh, come on, Cody!
Yeah. Cody, right on time,
dude.
Cody, you gotta.
I want $100,000 for that.
I want $100,000 right now.
Yep, me too.
Dude.
Cody, you gotta give me you're a little
no,
quick
dude,
on the
you know
putting
what
them in the room.
No, dude, listen, I have been doing so fucking good. You know who I thought that was? I thought that
Father Jackson, man, right away.
No, I thought that was that old Irish bastard that likes to come and talk shit with us.
Cody, I'm suing you.
Yep. Cody, I want $100,000, dude.
But y'all don't take me to court, bro.
We just saw Vishnu rubbing her vagina. That's what it looked like. It looked like a Hindu got it.
Was it like a green? Yeah. Was it like green? No.
It was like it was like one of the people from that movie you were talking about last night.
It was Hulk.
So what? I should probably fucking delete the stream now, huh? Before we get fucking...
it was a quarter second. They ain't gonna see that.
Okay. If any of you, no, I ain't even gonna give no fucking. Dude, I don't even know what we were talking about, dude. That just sideswiped my whole fucking.
What were we gonna do in the draft?
Sean Watson's therapy session.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, dude, no, we need a fucking therapist, dude. That's it. I'm joining the suit against Deshaun, dude. Yeah, I'm triggered. I'm triggered. I'm a part of it now. But no, I mean, I get what most of you were saying, man. Is that like we're not really in a position, to like trade a bunch for a football player that like one, we might not be able to protect them. Two, they might not want to come here. And three, you're not going to be able to give a ton to be able to go and get that player too. Kevin, did you say what you would do at number 6? Would you trade back or would you take a player?
I mean, honestly, I don't even know what we're going to do this offseason. Like, are we going to be rebuilding? Are we going to be competitive? Or I'm guessing we're going to trade back. I mean, Scott Fitterer known for trading back, so I figured that's what's going to happen. My best bet.
Yeah. I mean,
how much did I want to ask the chat? How much of that person's camera did you see?
I just saw a green guy.
No, you know what these pussy motherfuckers do?
Why do people do this?
Dude, you know what they do? Like they put themselves on camera and it's like, hey, I'm trying to join the stream. And then they wait for you to put them on, and then they do that shit.
It was like an old dude sitting at a desk, and then all of a sudden, as soon as you click, it flicked.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. It's like there are people that are actively trying to like bomb your stream. That's all right. That's gonna be the last time that you will get my ass, motherfucker. That's a promise.
You said it last time, Tony. Last time.
Yeah, he did.
Don't lie to me. Stop lying to me.
3rd time's the charm, dude.
Are
that's
you
why
Matt
you
Rhule?
tune in, man. You never know what you might see.
Cody,
on
are you Matt Rhule?
Show.
3rd time's the charm.
Yeah, right. 3rd time's the charm, bro. Give me 7 years, and I'll make sure no one comes on here fucking button.
So I have to see 6 dicks before I get no more dicks. Is that what you're saying?
I know, man. It's crazy. But man, dude. Normally at the end of the show. Yeah, Danielle says good things. Noah's not watching. Yeah, we hope Noah is not watching, man. But hey,
if you are, sorry, Noah.
No, but see now, if I don't truly know who you are, you ain't coming in. But anyway, man, dude, we're a little past 2 hours, man. Is there anything someone wanted to say about any of the things that have transpired recently that you want to get off your chest before we jump off of here, man, for another Friday free for all? It was funny, Josh. I can't admit it. It's like you never know when it's going to happen, and it kind of surprises you, and I'm kind of pissed off about it. But whatever, dude. Sometimes you just have that kind of shit, man. You got to roll with the punches, as they say. But
it was the second time we've seen men's parts here on the stream.
I think that was a female part.
All I saw was a female,
maybe it was. I don't. All I know is I saw an old man in the nudity, and it was like, oh.
Yeah.
Ernie, don't do me like that, bro. Come on, don't do me like that, bro. Oh shit. Good times. But yeah, is there any other comments that you might have or you want to share before we jump out of here? You want to plug something? I'll let y'all do that as well, man.
I'd just say hire Jim Caldwell.
That would be
Jim Caldwell.
There would be
give him a big contract as OC.
Yeah, Matt Rhule finally gets fired. At least we got an offensive coordinator who can step in, who's got head coaching experience.
Now, Caldwell, that was he was fired from the Lions, right?
Yeah.
Right.
with a winning record. Actually,
he was with the Colts too. He was with the Colts.
Yeah, he coached Peyton Manning.
He also coached at Wake Forest.
Yeah, I'm interested in seeing these games this weekend because some of these folks that are, for example, if the Raiders are out, I expect a lot of their coaches to be available. Bring about the Raiders coach. They're still looking for a head coach. This intern coach takes you to the playoffs. Why can't you not just hire him?
I think they will actually. I think they'll wait till after the season and they'll take the interim tag off.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, I don't see why they won't. But
maybe they get a bigger contract if he gets further in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Now, Cody, while you were gone, Tony was giving us a rundown of the offensive linemen that were available in free agency.
Yeah.
One thing I'm wondering, how many of those linemen do you think will get the franchise tag before they get the free agency?
Oh, so Brown, I heard Brown, Orlando Brown as a name that was mentioned. Again, that's a player. I haven't followed him closely this year, so I don't know exactly how he did. I wouldn't mind that at all. But I know that he was also trying to convert to left tackle.
Yeah, I think he's played all year at left tackle, and we'll see him this weekend, I'm sure of. But I'd expect him to get a tag right off. They gave up quite a bit to get him from Baltimore. I don't see them just letting him walk after 1 year.
Well, what is that? Does New Orleans do it for Jameis or do they do it for Armstead?
I think they signed Jameis. I don't think they got enough to keep Armstead around, even with the franchise. I don't think they got enough.
Salary. I mean, if they tag, that'd be interesting, Tony. If they tag Armstead, Teddy's going to be a free agent. Do they go after Teddy or do they go after Jameis?
Or do they go after Pickett?
Well, they'd have to trade. They've tried to trade it the last 2 years, and ain't nobody kind of like us. We keep telling everybody we're going to trade back, or that's what we all want to trade back. For the last 3 years, and we ain't traded back yet. So.
I mean, we were talking about how it might be impossible to trade back. Saints might want to move up.
Yeah. But they tried to move up last year for a quarterback and couldn't. Huh? Well, I don't know for quarterback. Maybe it's for corner, but I don't know. So I don't know. I wouldn't doubt Teddy would return to the Saints if they offered him, but
yeah, I can see it.
I can see them re-signing Jameis for another season because he was playing. Actually, Jameis Winston was playing actually decent football when he got hurt.
And a lot of Saints fans felt like they would have been a better football team if they would have had him around for longer. And they didn't have Michael Thomas. Yeah.
Well, what's the likelihood? What's the likelihood of, which this is far-fetched, I guess, but what's the likelihood of Sean Payton talking Teddy and Jameis to come back?
I mean, he could do it. Quarterback battle.
I mean, you still got Taysom Hill on the
he making that he making that big quarterback money. I forgot about him.
And they still got Ian Cook on the roster too. So I mean,
and Teddy might ask for a bigger contract than they will be willing to spend.
For all we know, Teddy may go back to Minnesota.
Teddy will end up in Pittsburgh.
You think?
I can see that.
I could see that though. I could see that with Tomlin. I could see that.
There's a lot of options, man. Dude, it's going to be a fun offseason. Not fun in that, like, we have any hope, but there's a lot of things that could happen that are not guaranteed to happen. That the quarterback and free agency, the draft. There's a lot, man. There's a lot of moving pieces.
Tyrell
Matthews. Panthers season was wrapped up in that little glitch that came up on screen.
Tyrell Matthews is a free agent. I could see us going after him if he'd come. He may have the leadership that they're wanting back there in that secondary. They weren't talking real good about.
Yeah, but he's old.
He's 30. So
yeah, he's in his 30s. I mean, I'm just
But still,
Armstead is another.
I think that's where they addressed most of the defense guys, though, is in free agency.
Teron Armstead is another interesting one, but I just don't know. Like, you're not getting younger. But at the same time, Andrew Whitworth was signed, and he was old too.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Dude, there is a swastika sign in that video.
Oh, you played it back?
No.
But you shouldn't even mention it. The more you mention it, the more people are gonna go back, and everyone's gonna see that shit. But yeah,
And I was
I'll probably
wrong.
end up.
It's a green person. God.
Hey, what's the time? Dude, hey.
Or no,
And there's
now
also a
that's what you
porta
would've said
potty
tonight.
in it. There's a porta potty, swastika, and a green person. If I can't even describe that.
Nor should you try. Look, what I think we're gonna do is because
Are you in slow motion with it?
No, listen. What I think we're gonna do is StreamYard saves the streams. I'm probably gonna
Delete
this video.
this?
Yeah, we're gonna delete this and then put it
And-
back up with the better edit, so that way that shit's not in here. But
Yeah, because
yeah, because fucking
Tony's
yeah,
eyes are
dude.
burning.
Well, Tony won't sleep good tonight. He'll be seeing that fella up on that video.
See, folks, this is why you come to the Friday free for all, dude. You might fuck around
to
and
see
some
pictures
shit
like that on YouTube.
Yeah, man, you might fuck around and see some shit you never expected to see, man.
what's crazy
Left
is
a little
there's just
too
so
early.
much more in the picture than you would think. You know what I'm saying? It's even like not only did this guy, he like triple bombed.
Oh,
It's like
It was a triple bomb.
It's like Childish Gambino with his "This Is America," where there's so much shit going on in the background. You have to catch everything.
Dude, that's
here's a linebacker. I know we're
And the dude is like 65 years old. What does a 65-year-old do with bombing YouTube streams?
I thought it sounded like an old man going.
The Cowboys have quite a few many linebackers hitting free agency. That
Danielle says she's gonna have more nightmares about the stuff other than the Panthers now. Damn it, we're sorry, Danielle.
That's the way to get your mind off the Panthers, but not preferably the way I would think.
Yeah, man. Old people showing swastikas and vaginas and shit. You know.
Yeah.
Now we don't discriminate. We don't discriminate against old people. But
yeah, hey, old
you
people
know,
are cool. You just better have your dick in your pants. And that's
not
all
green
we have.
Nazis.
Yeah. But we don't want to see that stuff. There are websites out there that y'all can enjoy your stuff that way, but not here.
Yeah, they advertise in our chat room, and we're constantly deleting their fucking comments all the time, dude. Well, look, man, that's about it. I don't know if you'll see this final part on YouTube here in the coming days, but I appreciate everybody coming on here, man. Everybody in the chat room. 100 people strong. Hit the like button while it still counts. And dude, that's it, man. Is there anything else y'all want to say before we jump off here?
We have to re-sign Zane Gonzalez.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah.
Yeah, how about Zane, man?
Yeah.
Good old Zane. Yeah. Well, all right, gentlemen. I appreciate all of you, man. Everybody in the chat room, thank you so much for joining us. That is it for another edition of the C3 Friday Free For All. We will be back next Tuesday night and next Friday. Until then, keep pounding.
Keep pounding. Oh.